Hello everyone. Today we're going to talk about how to evaluate a property, an average property along a surface. In this case, we're going to be using a cylinder section surface, which is a curved section that intersects with regions that we define, and then you can take average properties or max properties along that surface. It's a way to get more in-depth information than just averaging or finding the maximum of a full region. So the way to create, in this case, a cylinder section is we go to derived parts, we right click, select new part, then go to section, choose cylinder. We could do a plane as well, but in this case we're going to use a cylinder because we have a radially oriented part. So first thing to do is to change the origin to be 0 at 0, 0, 0. And then in this case, instead of x being the direction of the cylinder, we actually want y to be the direction. So we're going to make y 1 and x 0. And then just to choose a place in the middle of our domain, we're going to choose 0.5 for the radius. And finally, we're going to say no displayer. Now, there is a mode here that allows you to create multiple section cylinders across a range of values. But in this case, we're just going to use single, because if we do multiple, then it's going to average across those multiple ones. There's not really a good way to get the average from each of those multiple section cylinders. So instead, we're just going to change the radius as needed. So we're going to create this and then close. If you see here, now we have a second section cylinder, and there it is. It appears in our temperature scene. So the next thing we need to do is choose which parts it is evaluated at. And so in this case, we just want the salt part. That's what we care about. So click OK, and you can see now that instead of intersecting with all of the layers, it's only intersecting with the salt layers, which is what we want. So that's a good kind of gut check. Now we are going to scroll down to reports and create a new report. This is going to be the first option, volume standard deviation, and then we're gonna come down to surface average. You could also do maximum or minimum or surface integral. In this case, we're going to do surface average. Next, you select the function that you're interested in this case temperature. I'm going to change the units to Celsius, and we choose our part. Now in this case, instead of choosing the salt part, which would average across all the volume of the salt, we're going to choose our section plane 2 to average across only this section plane here. Okay? And then finally, as we've done before, we're gonna double click on our surface average, and that will evaluate the temperature at this section plane, or rather section cylinder. All right, so we see that it gets an average of 746 Celsius, or 7.46 times 10 to the second Celsius. And if we just look at this area, kind of look from a bird's eye view, you can see that 740 seems reasonable in terms of where the color is light blue here, green, light blue, green. So that's going to fall somewhere in this region. 746 seems reasonable, so that's a good gut check right there. Now, if you want to evaluate it at a different radius, you come up here and you select your cylinder section, and you change the radius here. That's all you need to change. 0.6 for this practice. Then you scroll back down to your report and you double click it, and you can see that it gives us a new value, 740.7. And if we select our section cylinder again and kind of do the same gut check, still seems reasonable. It's further away from the center of the reactor, which is the hottest part. It's getting closer to the convective heat sink, and so it makes sense that it'll be slightly cooler, but not much. So that is a summary of how to create a report for average temperature across a section cylinder.